Looks like the college application isn't the only thing that's problematic. Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abbey's Kitchen. Today's video is sponsored by Built Bar, and we'll be looking at controversial fashion blogger and daughter of convicted felon Lori Loughlin, Olivia Jade. But first, let me tell you about my sponsor, Built Bar. So if you're new here, welcome. I hope you like the show. But if you're a regular viewer, you know I'm a fan of these bars. They taste like a chocolate bar, and to me, they're like a really easy, convenient source of protein for super busy days. And that to me is kind of a rarity when I think that most protein bars kind of taste like crap. So today I am super excited because so many of you have DM'd me and told me that I absolutely need to try the dark chocolate cookie dough. And it came, and I'm really, really pumped. So let's try her out. I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped. All right. Well, this one's got 15 grams of protein. It's got cookie dough inside.
I'll have what she's having.
That is so good. Now, these are a lower sugar bar for those of you looking for something like that. But if I were to have this as like a post-workout snack, I'd probably want to pair it with some fruit, oatmeal, or some toast. So if you want to give these bars a try, check out the link in the description and use my promo code for 15% off of your order. Also, you can pause the screen or check out my description for a quick disclaimer, including a trigger warning to those with past or current experiences with disordered eating. I will be talking about calories and macros, so of course feel free to skip the stats portion of this video if that's not supportive to you and your journey. Okay, lovers. Well, if you are not familiar with Olivia Jade Giannulli, she's a 21-year-old YouTuber and daughter to actress Lori Loughlin and fashion designer Massimo Giannulli. Most significantly, however, she was made infamous for her fraudulent acceptance to the University of Southern California as part of a college admission bribery scandal that landed both her parents in jail. There's actually a new documentary on Netflix that looks at the college admissions scandal as a whole if you want to get caught up on all the juicy details. But anyway, after that situation came to light, she understandably disappeared from YouTube for a little while, and basically the media painted her as the poster child of white privilege. She herself has admitted that she never really even saw a problem with what went down, simply because she was so engrossed in her own privileged reality. But I'm not here to debate the ethics of admissions fraud or her taking the position of a more qualified but perhaps less privileged college candidate. I am not even going to get into Hollywood, white privilege in education, because this video would be hours long. Today, I'm gonna stick to the food. I'm gonna try to put my salty, unflattering bias aside, pull up my big girl professional panties, and get into the goods. Let's do it.
It's just Ezekiel bread. You need an avocado. It worked! Olive oil. Everything but the bagel seasoning. She is crispy. All I do, it's pretty simple.
Okay, so this looks familiar. I think we can call this the breakfast of lifestyle YouTubers pandemic edition. And I mean, I'm also totally guilty of loving everything bagel avocado toast too, so I am 100% part of this joke here. But honestly, there's a reason why this combo is just so popular. It really does taste great, and it's inherently really balanced. So we've got fiber and healthy fats in the avocado, protein and fat in the egg, and fiber-rich carbs in the bread. And actually, in the case of Olivia's choice of bread, we've also got a solid amount of protein from the sprouted soybeans, lentils, and whole grains. There's definitely a lot of interest in sprouted breads right now because they're typically higher in fiber and protein and lower in gluten, anti-nutrients, and also the glycemic index. And that's because sprouting grains actually helps to partially break down the starches, which actually lowers the available carb content, and as a result, the glycemic index of the bread. It also increases the protein and fiber content, with one study finding that sprouting brown rice for about 4 days increased its fiber content by 13%. Sprouted grains are also higher in nutrients like vitamin C, E, folate, beta-carotene, and B vitamins, and sprouting also helps to reduce some of the anti-nutrients that inhibit nutrient absorption. For example, research suggests that sprouting grains and legumes reduces their phytic acid content by up to 50%, which in turn may help to increase iron absorption. Finally, there's also evidence that sprouted grains may be easier to digest because the sprouting process acts as an act of pre-digestion. So if you like sprouted grain bread, I think it's a great option in general and is a really awesome base for avocado toast. Let's see what's for lunch.
Oh, sad discovery, we actually
Don't have any food?
Yeah. Like none. Wish you would have spoke up. So I'm gonna just snack on something because I'm really hungry. I'm gonna eat these and then order a salad.
Will you order me a salad?
Sure.
Okay, so I often get asked if meal planning is incompatible with intuitive eating. Absolutely not. I think that meal planning is actually a really great way to save time, money, and a lot of energy thinking about food. And just because you have pre-planned some recipes out for the week doesn't mean that you're not honoring your body. Intuitive eating doesn't just mean eating whatever you feel like in exactly that moment. It's ultimately about self-care. And if planning your meals helps you make sure that you have some nourishing meals and foods at the ready to fuel your energy and fill your belly, that's the intuitive way to go. Now, where it becomes unintuitive is when following said meal plan starts to feel like a bit of a chore, and you develop fear or anxiety around the idea of eating something not on that plan. But I admire the fact that Olivia was able to be like, whoopsies, I didn't plan this out. I don't even have any food in the house, so I'm just gonna eat some chips and order something in. I get that this is a very privileged state to be in, so again, don't think that intuitive eating has to look like this. But I'm just saying that it's actually very refreshing to me to see what I eat in a day that isn't elaborately staged. And you need to know that 99% of what I eat in a day videos that you see are probably at least somewhat staged. Influencers generally want to show you the highlight reel or make their diet look more perfect than maybe it actually is. Ditto for pictures that regular people share online of their dinner or their kids' meals. They're not showing you the frozen TV dinner that they had the night before or the fact that their kid only ate the bun off their plate, like mine sometimes does. That's the truth. That's the real truth. But anyways, back to snacking.
I didn't know they were real vegetables. It's sweet potato.
First of all, I want to preface this comment with the fact that I love Terra chips. I really, really do. I think that they are super flavorful and have a light, satisfying crunch that I'm like totally obsessed with. But I also love classic Lay's or Ruffles. So yeah, your girl doesn't discriminate when it comes to chips. But yes, they are definitely made of real vegetables, the same way that Lay's or Ruffles are also actually made of real potatoes, which are a vegetable. I myself have actually been to the farms here in Canada that grow Lay's potatoes, so I know. But are these gourmet chips healthier than traditional potato chips? If you compare the nutrition content of regular potato chips to veggie chips, you'll see that they have virtually the same amount of calories, fat, and saturated fat, with the veggie chips having a little bit more fiber and a little less salt than your classic fried Lay's. In other words, these veggie chips have what we call a health halo. They may be made with a greater variety of root vegetables, which is great, but they're still deep fried salted vegetables. So if you like veggie chips, great. If you like potato chips, that's great too. Choose a crunchy snack that you actually like best, savor it, and move on. One doesn't need to be good and the other one bad. Let's see what's next.
Okay, this is lunch. It just got here. It's just a salad. And this is the dressing. The dressing is just olive oil and lemon. This is the only dressing I even like. It's just because I'm picky.
Okay, so Olivia's lunch looks like a simple green salad with avocado, celery, greens, and some lemon olive oil dressing. And there looks to be some kind of bread on the side. Love that we've got lots of veggies. We've got fiber-rich carbs in the bread and some healthy fats in here from the avocado and olive oil. But there isn't a whole lot else. And since we already had avocado at breakfast, it would be ideal to switch it up. There also isn't any protein here, and since we only really had 1 egg and 1 slice of bread at breakfast with no real snacks in between other than some chips, I definitely think we could bump that up as well. Now, I did see another one of her vlogs where she had the same salad but with chicken on top, so maybe this was just like an off protein day. But I will say that the great thing about a lot of these salad takeout restaurants is that it's super easy to add some kind of protein to your greens, whether she was feeling like chicken or tofu, salmon, beans, or whatever. It really wouldn't be that hard to bulk this up. And yes, of course, sometimes these add-ons do cost more money, but I don't know, I have a feeling that that's not really an issue for Olivia. Let's see what else she has to say.
They put so much in here and I had a lot for breakfast.
While I acknowledge that everyone's appetite is different, I did want to just touch base on this comment because I can imagine that a lot of Olivia's young fans may hear her describe her 1 piece of toast and her veggie-only salad as a lot of food and wonder what's up. For most active young women Olivia's age, it's really not.
Nope.
I can appreciate that it might be a lot of the same greens here with the salad since there wasn't a whole lot else in that bowl, but that's where we could maybe cut back on the veg and swap in some more calorie-dense root vegetables or protein or whole grains in there. That would allow her to meet her nutrient needs without dragging herself through a container of like just lettuce with some avocado on top if the volume of food was kind of turning her off and overwhelming her. But let's see what she's having for dinner.
Split it open to see if it was cooked.
This looks super delicious, and I'm happy to see a solid source of protein in this meal with the chicken breast and the chickpea pasta. We've also got some fiber-rich carbs in the pasta, plus some fat in the cheese and the oil. Now, obviously, when you Google healthiest way to cook, deep frying isn't at the top of most listicles. And while I don't know what kind of oil she's frying in, considering that her father is Italian, I'm just gonna take a wild guess and assume that maybe it was olive oil. And yes, contrary to popular belief, you can actually fry in olive oil. It won't automatically make the oil toxic or poisonous or even rancid. Olive oil actually has a pretty high smoke point of between 390 and 468 Fahrenheit. And since deep frying typically happens between 350 and 375 Fahrenheit, there isn't a concern about it breaking down. Even extra virgin olive oil smoke point is 350 to 410, so it also might be okay at higher cooking temperatures. When people talk about how heating vegetable oils results in toxic chemicals, they're really referring to the byproducts of oxidation. But since olive oil is rich in antioxidants, it actually is more stable and produces fewer oxidation byproducts compared to other oils when heated. The bottom line is that there is no evidence I'm aware of any damage to human health from heating vegetable oils like olive oil. You might lose out on some of the nuanced flavors in a really good quality extra virgin olive oil, and you might slightly reduce the antioxidant levels, but the heat doesn't automatically render it toxic or convert it to a trans fat, as a lot of people might think. Olive oil or not, if I were to put my public health dietitian hat on, I probably wouldn't recommend deep frying every night. I mean, I personally rarely do it because I feel like it stinks up my whole house and my clothes for days. But I also have to still kind of give the girl props for having a seemingly uncomplicated relationship with food, to do it the traditional way and not feel the need to kind of like veganize this or paleoize this or ketoize this or whatever. She's just making the dish taste good. As for the chickpea pasta, you guys know I'm a huge fan of the stuff. I just think it's a really easy way to sneak in more fiber and protein, especially for carb-loving kids who maybe aren't into traditional sources of protein. So we could probably throw a little spinach or saute in another vegetable just to balance this plate out a little bit. But in the context of Olivia's day with that bigger salad, I get that maybe she's just kind of like veggied out. And that totally makes sense to me. So what can we say about our girl Olivia's diet? Let's take a look at the stats, and of course a trigger warning, I'm about to talk numbers, so feel free to skip ahead to this timestamp if this feels triggering for you. So I had to make some estimations here, of course, but I guess that Olivia's whole day clocked in around 1,500 to 1,600 calories, the vast majority of which was coming from that dinner meal. Her day also came in as pretty low carb, high fat, and on the lower end of the recommended protein range. She was also low on most of her micronutrients, but most notably for a young woman of her age, calcium and iron, and also there weren't any major sources of omega-3s in her diet. So let me start by giving the girl credit where credit is due. Olivia seems to have a pretty laid-back approach to food. She admits that she's not the most adventurous eater and she prefers things to be kind of bland and plain, and that might explain the repetitiveness of some of these ingredients. But I'm just happy that I didn't hear any explicit demonizing of foods, wellness misinformation, or an obsession with clean eating. She doesn't seem to like cut out any food groups or the typically off-limit foods like cheese and bread. And she also isn't consuming massive bowls of lettuce like it's her day job. She just kind of seems like she's eating what she likes. And for the most part, her meals seem pretty accessible and simple. But let's talk a little bit about some gentle nutrition tips. First of all, I would just kind of love to see more food throughout the day. I don't know for sure if this is Olivia's typical dietary pattern, but I don't know, it seems like she eats pretty light all day long and then eats half of her day's calories at dinner. So I would love to see a few more balanced snacks peppered throughout the day just to ensure that she's better able to meet her micronutrient needs for the day and also keep her energy levels steady. So ideally we would want to be thinking about the hunger crushing combo when building these snacks and meals. So that means of course a source of fiber, protein, and healthy fats. So this could mean maybe adding some guacamole, hummus, or like a white bean dip with her veggie chips, combining a couple hard-boiled eggs with some crackers and cheese, or making a really super quick trail mix with nuts, seeds, and dried fruit. So even for days where she doesn't feel like having a lot of meal-like foods in the house, there's an opportunity to get the nutrition that she needs. I would also recommend trying to expand the variety of her diet in a way that feels safe to her. I know she mentioned that she's a picky eater, so she prefers things to be pretty plain, but we could start small by doing some food chaining, which I know I've talked a little bit about in my Emma Chamberlain video right here. So for example, let's say she wanted to learn to like fresh tomatoes. Basically, she could take like a safe food that she likes, let's say pasta with jarred tomato sauce. And then she could maybe add some chunks of tomato into her sauce. Then she could make a sauce that's basically just cooked tomatoes in some oil with pasta, a la the viral baked feta Instagram recipe. And then maybe she could do cooked cherry tomatoes on their own, and then finally the raw tomato.
I'm giving you an all tomato, meaning that you give me the whole tomato or else.
That's just a really super random example because I know that like her father is Italian, so it's possible she actually really likes tomatoes. But variety is the spice of life. So making these tiny little efforts to swap out the veggie, protein, or carbs that she eats every few days may make it easier for her to meet those micronutrient needs. So to sum it up, I was kind of pleasantly surprised by Olivia's diet, not because it's particularly balanced or healthy, but just because I actually don't think that I really heard her talk much about health or diet culture, period. So while I do think that she may be under-eating a bit and that her diet lacks some variety, it seems more likely to me that's because she's kind of a picky eater and she's probably more of a eat to live kind of person. And as a result, she just isn't really that motivated to eat a lot more food. So to me, it's a bit of a delicate balance of trying to not over obsess about eating and food, and to also make sure that we're still meeting our nutrient needs by eating enough. So hopefully she can work towards finding that balance for herself. And on that note, that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you again to Built Bar for sponsoring this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below with who you'd like to see me review next. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye! And for more great videos like this, check out the link right here.